Hello Animorphs fans and welcome back to another Animorphs Reviews drinking game, the least popular show on this channel. Great start, Adam. Idiot! Right, so today we're looking at one, possibly two videos, but we're definitely looking at The Tragedy of Tobias, Part 1 by Marcelo. Now, Marcelo has done a second video of this series, so if you like what you see from this video today, go to his channel, subscribe to him, like his videos, and go check out his Tragedy Tobias Part 2 video. I insist, Medi-Pleb. And speaking of Medi-Pleb, right, are you a real Animorphs fan? Are you taking the piss? Right, so in the last video, I got it wrong because the person who I was reacting to got the number of books wrong and said there were 6 additional books. And then I said, oh, actually it's 8, but I was wrong. And then Medi-Pleb came up and said, actually, there are 9 accompanying books. Megamorphs 1 to 4, Visser, Hawkbj Chronicles, Elemis Chronicles, and Ulternomorphs 1 and 2. Something missing there, Medi-Pleb. I think you'll find you missed the Andalite Chronicles, which means you were wrong. You! And your forfeit for being such a silly Billy. Your forfeit is to do 5 handstands. It's not as sinister a forfeit as I would have hoped for, but that's what it is. That's the rules. Judge's decision is final. You are sentenced to 5 of those, whatever I told you to do. Right, so the drinking rules, as per usual. I'm drinking John Smith's again today. It's 1 finger, 2 finger, 3 finger, etc. And the forfeits are as follows. Modern political issues, 2 fingers. Character traits, 1 issue. TV show criticism, 4 fingers. 90s reference, 3 fingers. Movie talk, 2 fingers. Author mention, 1 finger. Something wrong, 2 fingers. Naughty talk, 2 fingers. And podcast name, 1 finger. If there's a cinnamon bun mention, you down your drink. We should all know the rules by this point. We should all know. Sean Santamore is here with us today, ready to spread gifts galore upon you Animorphs, fucking whatever you are. By the way, if your name begins with any letter between J and Q, drink an extra 2 fingers before we start. And Medi-Pleb too. Even though your name... Yeah, whatever. Whatever! Let's just watch the Animorphs, The Tragedy of Tobias Part 1 by Marcelo, and let's get drinking. So this is Marcelo.
Animorphs, the greatest series of books ever written and my only reason for living.
That is an endorsement, mate. That's an endorsement, and I like it. I like the attitude, straight off.
I'm being hyperbolic, but seriously.
No, you're not. No, you're goddamn not. You're not being hyperbolic. You're being totally, utterly rational and sensible. Oh, I accidentally muted it.
Amazing. The emotional depth, character development, and sheer plot insanity that takes place over these 54 books and their companion novels was unheard of in 1997.
He's got the number right there, Medi-Pleb. Right? You drink an extra 3 fingers.
When they first came out, and they absolutely still hold up today. I was fortunate enough to be in their target demographic when these books came out. I was born in 1990, and I remember going into the Scholastic book.
Great lighting, great sound, music in the background is the right volume. This guy knows what he's doing. Awesome. I'm going to leave a like for that. You could do the same. Go to his channel, leave a like on his video. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description.
Book fair in 3rd or 4th grade and seeing all these posters of Jake's face turning into the lizard face, the cover of the first book, and being so intrigued by it. And once I saw that it was a book, I absolutely had to have it and was hooked instantly. I loved these books. I plan to do a number of videos on Animorphs, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this one ranting about how good they are, but suffice it to say that I love the books and I am a nostalgia-addicted millennial. In this video, I want to talk about my favorite character, Tobias, and his story arc.
Is that technically something wrong?
In this series, I'm going to be covering the events that take place in book 3 of the Animorphs. That's the first book narrated by Tobias. It's called The Encounter, and how it sets up what I believe to be the best and most emotionally compelling character arc of the series.
Nah.
If for some reason you're watching this and you haven't read any Animorphs books, the core plot is that there are aliens taking over Earth. They're called the Yeerks, and they're small gray slugs who infest your brain through your ear canal and take over your body and control your actions. The Animorphs are a gang of 5 humans who are given the power to morph by the Andalite Elfangor, one of the good guys, before Visser 3, the Yeerk general, comes down to Earth
Yeah, technically.
and eats him. The rest of the books are spent with the Animorphs transforming into different animals to try to thwart Visser 3's plans and fight the Yeerk invasion. Before I get into the events of the encounter, I would like to talk a little bit just about what we learn in the Invasion, Book 1, about Tobias.
So far, it's flawless logic. I haven't had anything to drink to. Hasn't even mentioned the author. There's been no 90s reference, but we might be about to get into character traits. Let's listen in.
Tobias is kind of set up from the beginning as a bit of a loner. While the kids are walking through the abandoned construction site together on the night that they see Elfangor's ship crash and watch him get eaten by Visser 3, Tobias is just there by coincidence. He kind of just tags along. The rest of them are friends already, but he's a bit of a loner.
I wouldn't say emo is equivalent to loner. No. That's his character trait that we're looking out for. Emo, emotional, something along those lines.
We also learn some really important things about Tobias that night, even though he's not the one who narrates the book. When Elfangor is telling them who he is and about the Yeerks and the invasion, Tobias is the first one to believe him unconditionally. He accepts everything he says without too much doubt. When the Animorphs run away because Visser 3 is approaching to eat Elfangor, Tobias hangs back for a little bit, and we're going to find out why later on in the series. In any case, Tobias is all in from the very beginning. The first book is largely about the Animorphs learning about their powers and deciding if they want to use them to fight this fight or not, and Tobias is the primary voice in favor of fighting. He has immediate moral conviction that even Jake doesn't adopt until later on in the series, and he's the leader of the Animorphs. Take this line of dialogue between him and Marco from book 1. Suddenly, the wimp is a hero. Maybe I just found something worth fighting for, Marco. You don't even fight for yourself. That was before the Andalite, before he died trying to save us.
Come on. I know he's not saying emo, but that is such an emo line. I'm counting that as our first finger of the day. Shaka, if you're watching, you drink 4 fingers.
I can't let that go. I can't let him die for nothing. So whatever you guys decide, I'm going to fight. Tobias also loves to morph. He's the first of the Animorphs to try the morphing ability on his own, and he demonstrates more curiosity about their new powers than even Cassie does, and she's portrayed as the one who's the most in touch with the morphing ability throughout the series. Tobias loves flying especially, and he spends a great deal of time in his red-tailed hawk morph in book 1. Unfortunately, this gets him in trouble because, as we know, if you stay in a morph for longer than 2 hours, you will be stuck in that body forever. And in the end of book 1, Tobias gets trapped in the Yeerk pool complex and is unable to morph out of hawk for over 2 hours, and he's stuck as a hawk at the end of the book. So this brings us to the encounter, the book that we're going to be talking about.
So yet again, nothing wrong so far. It's all very factual. He's done his research. Fucking good on you.
About today, book 3 in the series.
But I want to drink more. God damn it.
The first book narrated by Tobias. This one really sets up who he is as a character. It signals the struggles that he's going to face as the series progresses. It's only the 3rd book in the series, so Applegate really hits us over the head with this heavy emotional plot pretty early on, which is really well done for a kid's book, and I'm going to be talking about that throughout this video.
Oh wait, hold on. That was an author mention, wasn't it?
Us over the head with this heavy emotional plot pretty early on, which is really well done for a kid's book, and I'm going to be talking about that throughout this video. The main it signals the struggles that he's going to face as the series progresses. It's only the 3rd book in the series, so Applegate really hit.
That's an author mention. That's 1 finger. Drink, you bastards.
Over the head with this heavy emotional plot pretty early on, which is really well done for a kid's book, and I'm going to be talking about that throughout this video. The main theme of this book is Tobias reluctantly coming to terms with the fact that his body is now a hawk's body, as well as the greater questions that arise because of that. The book opens with Rachel and Tobias on a vigilante mission to free a hawk that's being used as a marketing gimmick for a used car lot.
Dealing Dan Hawks.
As the hawk flies away, Tobias has a fleeting impulse to fly away with her. This is our introduction to the book's central question: where does Tobias belong?
So we're 4.5 minutes through the video. This is very, very good. Very factual. It's not my preferred style personally, because it is like strictly factual. If you've seen my videos at all, you know that I like to informalise it a bit. So it's not the style that I personally prefer, but I can recognise that it is a very well done video. Succinct, to the point, and factually correct in pretty much everything it said so far. Let's see what else he's got in store for us.
Very shortly after this, we get a lot of direct narration from Tobias, talking about how excellent flying is and how free it makes him feel. As a reader, we can really experience Tobias' struggle here. As a kid, I always dreamt of flying, specifically because of these passages in Animorphs, probably. But I also could relate to Tobias' struggle of ostracization that he feels. The book does a really great job of taking emotionally complex themes and presenting them in a way that a kid can understand. Although Tobias is stuck in his hawk body now, which separates him from the life that he had before, he's also now able to fly, when before he was firmly tethered to the ground. And this is going to be the ongoing sort of conflict that Tobias faces. He misses being a human, but his life as a human was really inhibited due to a number of reasons beyond his control. So he has this freedom that he didn't have before, but he also is trapped in a way that he's never been, and this confuses him. So we learn that Tobias now lives in Jake's attic and that Jake provides him with food. The only part of Tobias's hawk life that he's really accepted so far is the flying. He hasn't accepted having to hunt and kill in order to eat yet. And whether this is because he's disgusted by the idea of eating rodents, or whether he's disgusted or scared of what it represents to take that step, we don't really know. But for now, he's being fed by Jake.
I'm hoping that because of this video and the subsequent episodes of this series he's doing, that I will warm more to Tobias' character, because it is one of my least favourite, it's possibly my least favourite arc, because it does seem a bit aimless at times what it's trying to get at. Because it gets his mother back and then almost instantly just abandons her and has nothing to do with her. And it's just very confusing. So let's see what I learned from this.
We get some more insight into Tobias' character via some internal monologue that he has when Rachel expresses that she doesn't really like him living in Jake's attic. He says, "I hated the way they all felt sorry for me. All they could see was that I was not what I used to be. All they saw was that I had no home. But they didn't really understand. I hadn't had a real home since my parents died. I was used to being alone, and I had the sky."
That is so emo. I have the sky. Oh, get your dyed black hair out for the lads and drink, you bastards. To a character trait. One finger. Matteo, if you're watching. You... what can you do? Run up the stairs and then do that thing we all did as kids where you sit on the top step and then fall down on your ass. Do that. That's your extra forfeit. And drink, everyone.
This is an early insight into one of Tobias' core character traits. He is self-sufficient. He neither wants nor needs sorrow or pity or understanding from the other Animorphs or anyone else for that matter. He doesn't expect the rest of them to understand what his struggle is because they literally can't. Their human lives are better now than his was when he was a human, and they can't possibly understand what it's like to be trapped in an animal's body. This early charity that Jake's providing obviously isn't going to last, and the more we get to know Tobias, the more we know that he's definitely not going to let someone feed him for this long. We're then introduced to the non-Tobias plotline of the book, which involves the discovery of a cloaked Yeerk carrier ship that's being used to transport resources from Earth, presumably to some Yeerk mothership that's in orbit. Tobias is the one who discovers the ship, and when he lets the Animorphs know, we're treated to another scene of him and Marco arguing over whether it's too dangerous to investigate or not, with Tobias winning the day again. Marco, for the record, is not a cowardly character. He's actually the most pragmatic and probably the smartest of the Animorphs. He just has a lot more to lose than the rest of them do, and we'll get into his arc a little bit in another video series. So
yeah!
Animorphs, Wolves,
Are we doing a series of each character? That's awesome. Another reason why you... Yeah, you... Yes, you. Don't snicker at me. Go check out Marcelo's channel and goddamn subscribe. Sean. You ought to subscribe. Sean Santimore. Yes, the lad. Oterlu, 2 fingers.
Out this ship. Tobias keeps watch because obviously he can't morph wolf as well. Once again separate from the group in spite of his place as their eternal air guardian. Applegate takes advantage of all the time that Tobias spends in the air.
Author mention, one finger, drink.
Separate from the group to give us a lot of his thoughts via internal monologue. This time he wonders what it might be like to be a wolf, thinking that he might ask one of the Animorphs after the mission's over, but then he quickly follows this up by thinking, then you can ask them what it's like to be human. Tobias doesn't want any pity from others, but he certainly seems like he's willing to let himself get away with a little bit of self-pitying. The Animorphs figure out what the ship's purpose is.
That's emo. That's one finger. We're starting to get through the fingers now, and it's mostly character trait. He is an emo little git, isn't he? And he's a narc. God, he's a narc. One finger, drink.
As they're leaving, it's a carrier ship that's harvesting resources from the planet, and Tobias then encounters the hawk that he and Rachel freed at the beginning of the novel. And he has a fleeting moment where he realizes that he's scared of her for some reason. And the more he thinks about it, the more he realizes that it's not her that he's scared of, it's what she represents. And what she represents is the idea that he might actually belong with her. This cleverly sets up two sub-conflicts to the book's main question of whether Tobias belongs with hawks or humans. Some of the most basic primal human needs are being demonstrated here. The need for food and the need for companionship, both in terms of emotional companionship and also just physical companionship for procreation purposes. Tobias lets Jake feed him because he doesn't want to...
Procreation purposes. Rather ill-placed. But the reason I'm pausing the video is because technically that is naughty talk, which is a two-finger forfeit. A silly two-finger forfeit. Right. Ooh. Nitro Indigo. What are we going to do with you? Hey? If you've got a Christmas tree in your house, go up to it, stick your face in it, and go until somebody notices. Or if you don't have a Christmas tree up, any old houseplant of your choice. I'll be nice. I'll be nice. Well, go on, do it. Christ. No, don't give me that. Don't give me... Just fucking go and do it. Yeah, off you trot. Go on. Right, I'm just refilling the old drinky woos. And we're doing two fingers for this lovely little forfeit. Sean Santamore, you're going to be going down everybody's chimneys this year, aren't you? Yes. From your lovely home in Canada. Two fingers, drink.
Have to hunt, even though the hawk's instincts are constantly driving him to. Similarly, he nurses this more than friendship with Rachel, with whom he cannot physically be, while his hawk instincts are telling him that he should abscond with this lady hawk. He's pulled out of his romantic reverie by realizing that the group is in trouble. They've run into a pack of real wolves. Tobias takes time to note how good the hawk's eyes are, and I'm beginning to think that these vocal appreciations of hawk traits specifically and purposefully follow the internal struggle that Tobias has whenever it's demonstrated to us via his narration. So the gang fights some wolves and then almost gets stuck in wolf morph, which is horrifying, and as they finally painfully resume their human forms, Tobias has some mixed feelings. He's glad that they're human again, but this also causes him to really appreciate the fact that he is trapped as a hawk, that he's not going to be able to get out of this body ever. So he flies away in a bit of a huff. Later in Jake's attic, we learn that Jake has simply been packing up human food in Tupperware and leaving it for Tobias. He's including whatever his family happens to have eaten that night, and not all of it is digestible for hawks, but Tobias doesn't quite have the heart to tell him this. Tobias has some hunger pangs, noting that it's probably not for ground beef and mashed potatoes, which is what Jake's left for him this day, and decides to go meet Rachel. I guess he's trying to distract from an unfulfilled hawk need by filling a human one. At Rachel's, Tobias tells her about his feelings that he's been having about the lady hawk that they freed, and Rachel tells him that he's definitely fully human. She insists that it's what's on the inside that counts, not what body he's in.
It's what's on the inside that
his
counts.
old self that she has for some reason, and she lets him know that she's sure the Andalites are going to come back to Earth one day to finish the fight, and that once they do, they'll definitely be able to find a way to get Tobias back in
Oh, how wrong they were. How very wrong they were.
his human form. She sounds confident, but Tobias notes that he can tell she's holding back tears. As he puts it, hawks don't miss much. The next day, Tobias is flying around ruminating while the rest of the gang is at school. He has a few urges to eat some random mice, mirroring his desire to bang Lady Hawk. This time...
That's not bang Ladyhawk. Oh my god. Marcello. Tisky boo. 2 fingers. It's a great video, by the way. Really well done. Well researched, well edited. You've obviously put a fair whack of time into this one. And for that reason, for that very reason, ooh, I tell her I've done you. I've done your, oh, to me. To me. Have you been on many of these before? I don't remember ever giving you extra forfeits. Right, we all drink 2 fingers. But to me. I want you to repeat after me. I, to me, am a silly sausage. Now do it 3 more times. For the rest of us, drink 2 fingers. Where are we? There we are.
Tobias's rumination is mostly dominated by thoughts of all the bad parts of his human life that he's got to leave behind. All the school, the bullies, the neglectful family. He doesn't have to deal with any of this anymore. He's definitely past any limitations that his undersized, scrawny human form placed on him, and now he can fly. After school, the group decides that the best way to approach this Yeerk ship that's been coming down to Earth is to infiltrate it and turn off its cloaking so that all the world will see it and they'll know of the Yeerk invasion. The best way to do this, of course, is to morph into fish and stake out a pond that the carrier ship is going to...
Think about how misguided that mission was in the context of the entire series. If the invasion was revealed by book 3, then Vista 3 would do all-out war. And the Animorphs at that stage of their development would have had no chance of winning. So if they were successful in their book 3 mission, they probably would have lost the war. It's an interesting thought.
Suck up to bring to whatever ship is in orbit. So Tobias leaves the group kind of depressed again, like he does most of the meetings that they have, thinking about how he's stuck in this hawk body.
That sounds pretty emo to me. That's 1 finger, drink.
And as he's having these bad thoughts, he starts to think that, of course, there are good parts about it. And for some reason, he starts thinking about how he can ride on roller coasters at theme parks without needing to wait online now, or go to them after hours even if he wants. As he's having these happy thoughts, he lets his hawk instincts take over, and before he knows it, he has killed and partially eaten a rat. This gives us some really good internal monologue from Tobias. No, I cried voicelessly, but I could still see the dead rat, and I could taste it, and no matter how many times I said no, it would always be yes. Tobias loses it at this point. Cool. He's flying through the sky, screaming internally. He has to see Rachel, but she's not home. She's at the mall doing this gymnastics show for some reason. This just makes him more distraught because the mall was once such an easy place for him to go to, such a casual place for kids to get lost, and now it's basically a death trap for him. It's barely accessible. In his mania, he decides he's gonna go anyway because he just needs to see Rachel. He gets in through the revolving door after some actual customers, and he flies around, hitting into things, making a huge mess, and finally he comes upon Rachel doing this gymnastics demonstration. He nearly collides into a brick wall, and she...
One thing I will say about your videos, well, I know this is the only video I've seen. The one thing I will say is I recommend getting a tripod or something just to hold that microphone rather than you holding it there. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it looks like you do a lot of work with your hands. I do the same. I do a lot of hand stuff when I'm doing my videos. So it probably restricts you quite a bit. You probably don't realise how restricted you are by constantly having to have this microphone in front of you like that. So get yourself a tripod so you can give it all of that bullshit. You do that, don't you, Sean? Yeah. Very well.
He can tell something's up. He tells her that he killed and that he's lost. And she tells him as long as he has friends, he'll never really be lost. And then she gives him a shove to get him airborne because there are people watching. They're coming to try to help. They think she's being attacked by this hawk. Tobias sees the skylight above him, and he knows that his hawk instincts, if he lets them, will drive him to just fly straight through the skylight without even thinking about it, and probably will wind up gravely injuring him, perhaps killing him. In this moment of extreme emotional peril, Tobias decides to give way to these instincts, and he lets the hawk mind take over and is powering up towards this glass skylight, this thick glass, and right before he hits it, a baseball crashes through it and breaks it.
I wasn't a great fan of this part.
Because Margot, of course, was at the mall spying on Rachel in her gymnastics competition. So
Wait, what?
Flies through
Spying on Rachel? I'm not going to say something wrong, because it sounds like he's put that in there for a sort of... almost a... What was that? I'm going to listen to that again.
Thick glass, and right before he hits it, a baseball crashes through it and breaks it. And Marco threw this baseball because Marco, of course, was at the mall spying on Rachel in her gymnastics competition. So Tobias...
He was spying... He says it as if it's serious, and this whole video so far has been factual. It would be... I'm a bit confused by that. Firstly, he didn't throw it. I think he hit it with a baseball bat, which technically doesn't count as throwing. And then I'm pretty sure he wasn't spying on Rachel. Those are both sort of half something wrong forfeits. So combine that, that's a something wrong. That's 2 fingers. Marcel, I thought you'd go the whole video. Being 100% spot on. But you have failed. You have failed. And because you failed, Eliano, you have to what you need to do is go to the nearest person to you and tell them jokes, and you're only allowed to stop when they have a genuine laugh. You could be there forever. Or you could be a good comedian and you'll be there for 10 seconds. Either way, do it. Okay? Do it.
Flies through the skylight.
2 fingers, drink.
And over the next few days, he goes totally hawk. He's hunting to kill, he establishes a territory, he's only human at night when he dreams. And these dreams are distressing for his hawk mind, but he kind of puts them to the side. The hawk's not too bothered by it. At one point, he's back in the valley with the lady hawk, and he's eyeing her, and this time he is definitely thinking about banging. The hawk body, the hawk mind, his hawk...
That's another... He's getting very naughty. Every time he mentions this hawk, which is 2 fingers... which is the end of this pint. Sergeant Sager, your forfeit is to get on your knees and pledge your everlasting allegiance to the great Sean Santimore. That's your forfeit. Fucking pledge allegiance to the man, the myth, the legend that is Sean Santimore. Sean. Drink, 2 fingers. What am I doing on this video? Drink.
Hawk instincts want him to mate with this hawk. Suddenly, a Hork-Bajir, one of the aliens that the Yeerks have taken over, is running through the woods, and this catches Tobias's eye. He sees that the Hork-Bajir and some other humans are chasing one human, presumably a non-human controller who has escaped somehow. And for a moment, both his hawk mind and his human...
No.
Tobias's eye. He sees that the Hork-Bajir and some other humans are chasing one human, presumably a non-human controller who has escaped somehow.
Presumably has escaped somehow. Now, because it's the word presumably makes it essentially a point of speculation, so it's not a factual claim. So it's not technically something wrong, but there was never any indication that he had escaped being a controller. There's no indication of that. So it's close to being something wrong, but it isn't. God
And
damn you,
for a
Marcelo.
moment, both his hawk mind and his human mind are fully active at once. And the hawk mind is able to see this human running through the forest and see that it is prey being chased by these predators. But his human mind doesn't want this other human to be prey. And so this is enough to snap him out of his hawk reverie, to make him fully come to his senses, and he guides the human out of the forest to safety. He then visits Rachel, who tries to hug him but can't, because as Tobias points out, birds aren't made for hugging. Rachel points out that he basically...
Is that emo? That's emo, yes. It's emo storm, yes. One finger drink.
tried to kill himself, and he has no real answers for her. She reminds him of what she said when he ran into her in the mall, that as long as he has his friends, he's never going to be truly alone. And Tobias kind of brushes this off because he's had another realization. Tobias has realized that he's basically the opposite of a human controller, because while human controllers still have their human body, they've been stripped of their freedom and of their autonomy. And Tobias, while he doesn't have a human body anymore, he can still move when he wants to. He can still think his own thoughts, and he can speak to his friends. He can do whatever he wants to do. If anything, he's more free now than he was when he did have his human body. And he kind of rationalizes to himself that perhaps the best way to keep him tethered to humanity is to help other humans get their humanity back. That maybe this will be enough to keep him human enough. So reunited, the gang decides that they're gonna go on this mission that they planned for earlier, and they're gonna morph these fish. And the first stop is to go to a lake and fish for the fish that they have to morph.
Fish for the fish.
The lake in question is right by this Lady Hawk's territory, and once again, Tobias is eyeing her with desire. He eats like a hawk now, so the needle is moving towards hawkdom. It's only a small step before he... It's only a small step before he is embracing his full hawk life.
I think that was a... I think you forgot to edit that bit out.
And we as the reader kind of wondering what's going to happen at this point. Suddenly the carrier ship shows up and the Animorphs have to go hide in the cave.
That's like the one time that he's missed out a bit of editing. Apart from that, pretty spot on, mate. Pretty fucking spot on.
They realize that Visser 3 is here, so their previous plan of walking down to the water and morphing the fish that they've just acquired before the lake is sucked up is off the table because there's a lot of security around. So their new plan is that Tobias is going to carry them in their fish bodies over the lake and one by one drop them into the lake, where then they'll be sucked up into the ship and they can morph into their battle morphs and destroy it from the inside out. This is the plan. So this plan somehow succeeds, and the Animorphs are inside of a water tank inside the carrier ship trying to figure out how to get out. Tobias is cruising the skies around, just kind of keeping patrol, and he sees some Hork-Bajir getting tortured and says, "I won't describe it to you. This will be my private nightmare." And as he's watching the Hork-Bajir get tortured, the Yeerks see him in the sky and decide to start shooting birds out of the sky. And because of the way Tobias reacts to this, they're able to tell that he is not an actual bird. He is probably one of what they think are Andalite bandits.
Yes.
But what we know are the Animorphs. So they're firing at him, and the only place that he can go for safety is on top of the ship. That way they can't shoot at him because they'll hit the ship itself. So he's on top of this ship, and Visser 3 maneuvers his ship around so he's now on top of the ship looking down at Tobias, and he's speaking directly to him. And as he's speaking to him, Tobias hears the faint thought speak of his friends, and they're telling him that they are stuck in this water tank. They're not going to be able to get out. They don't know what they're going to do, and can he please blow the ship up? So the Yeerks send some Taxon warriors, this is another race that they've enslaved, onto the hull of the
Taxon
ship that
warriors.
Tobias is on to go and get him and take him prisoner. And somehow, through some crazy maneuvering, he manages to get a Dracon beam, the Yeerk equivalent of a phaser, out of these Taxons.
Phaser. I thought for a split second there he said Pfizer. He was armed with a Pfizer vaccine.
Hands fly to the bridge of the ship and shoot at the control panel until the ship explodes.
Yeah,
As the ship explodes,
that's a pretty shit ending. I think when I did my review of this, I mentioned that this book is like a sandwich, but the bread is a bit rotten. So the start and the end are just a bit crap. The middle bit's good. Nice, tasty. Oh, fucking hell. But the outside, a bit grim.
All of the water pours out of it, and the Animorphs are able to morph birds as they fall to the ground and fly to safety.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid.
And as they're escaping, Tobias sees the Lady Hawk flying away as well. But as she flies away, the Yeerks shoot her down, thinking that she is the red-tailed hawk that they were shooting at earlier. Later, Tobias is with Rachel, and she tells him that the gang wants to find the Lady Hawk's body and bury her. And Tobias explains that her death actually cleared up a few things for him. He realized that as he mourned her, he made the right decision in choosing not to abscond with her, to give in to that hawk impulse to mate with her. A hawk mate wouldn't have cared if she died, and Tobias does. So at the end, what does that make him? He tells Rachel, "I'm a predator who kills for food, and I'm a human being who grieves over death." This upsets Rachel, whom Tobias notes is very human. The book ends with Tobias telling us to be happy for him, for his freedom, and to be happy for all those who fly free. He's not quite
Emo, one finger, drink.
a bird, but he also definitely isn't a human. And that's it. The book's over and your young mind is left to digest what it is that you've just experienced. What is Tobias and what path will he choose? It seems for now like he's choosing not to define himself too strictly. In fact, trying to fit some type of mold is what's driven a lot of Tobias's distress both in this book and prior to this book. In fact, it's driven a lot of the stress of his human life. He's just never fit in. So maybe this not fitting in isn't something that's altogether new to him. This time, he is something completely different.
At this point in the video, Marcelo, the music's got a bit too loud. It's sort of matching the volume of your voice.
From everyone else. He is the only...
So, yeah, either increase your volume. Nah, probably decrease the music volume so it matches what came earlier.
Human trapped in a red-tailed hawk's body. So he gets to be both. There's nothing in the world that's like him now, and maybe that's okay for the time being. So that's going to wrap up part 1 of this book. In my next video, I'm going to cover the events of book 13, my absolute favorite book in the series.
It is a good book.
To Tobias in this book that totally changes the landscape of the conflict, of his internal struggle. It's really epic. I highly suggest you tune in if you're at all interested in this or if you like Animorphs. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please feel free to leave a like, leave a comment. If you liked or hated my analysis, shoot me a message.
I'm going to subscribe, and I've already liked it.
Always am down to talk about Animorphs, and I'll see you in the next video.
Oh. Is that it? That's a bit strange, Marcelo. There's like a minute of just black screen of music. Yeah, that was really good. Really good. It didn't get me that drunk, mostly because it was just factual and straight to the point. What more can you say? It's good. Yeah, if you liked that video, he's done a part 2 for that series, talking about book 13, which is one of my favourites of the series. So go check that out. I've subscribed, I've liked this video. I suggest that you do the same. And if you don't, then it's an extra 4 fingers for you, which you can drink now. Go for it. Right, I think we've got time to do a 12-minute video, just to, because I've only drunk 2 pints. So I've got a couple more drinks, and I'm willing to drink a bit more. You know, I enjoy these, even though it's the least popular video on this channel, video series on this channel, Drinking to the Podcast Games. But you know what? I fucking look forward to doing it. I enjoy doing it. I'm having fun, and I usually get at least 30 of you watching, so I'm happy. And I'm going to do some fucking more, Sean. Yes, exactly, yes. So let's carry on. And what we're going to look at next is a video by Todd Foolery. Todd Foolery. Dust everywhere. Was the Animorphs TV series really that bad? A Nickelodeon retrospective. Was the Animorphs TV series really that bad? So, one of our forfeits is a 4-finger forfeit. TV show criticism. For the purpose of this video, because it's strictly about the TV series, I'm going to lower that to 1 finger, okay? And the title in itself is an implication that it was a bad show, which is already a finger, so Medi Pleb, drink 6 fingers, the rest of us drink 1. Drink! Take it away, Todd Foolery. Link in the description if you want to go watch the rest of the channel yourself.
It's invading your house.
What is it?
I don't know, but it's definitely not from my hood.
Now, the ultimate power can be unleashed.
This is Todd Foolery, and if you were a kid in the late 90s, chances are you've heard of Animorphs, because they were everywhere, and I personally had a very unhealthy obsession. They had books.
Yeah.
So of course I had to have the books. They had toys. You know I had to have the toys. They had a video game. Y'all, a video game. And you know I had to have that too. And then there was the TV show. On September 5th,
That was an implication that it was bad. And I'm surprised it didn't say that the toys of the games were bad as well, because honestly, the toys and the games are probably even worse than the TV series. Right, that's one finger for TV show criticism, because the forfeit's reduced. Drink.
1998, Animorphs, the TV series, premiered on Nickelodeon. And while it had tons and tons of anticipation leading up to the premiere, it was poorly received by fans, critics, and even the creator of the book series, who stated she could only make it through the first 2 episodes.
Is that an author mention? Wasn't mentioned by name. I suppose technically author mention. He mentioned the author, so technically that's one finger. Drink.
Most complaints revolved around its inconsistent loyalty to the source material, the special effects being a little subpar, and then just plain bad writing and on-screen performances. And look, that's all valid, but I chose a completely different approach with my most recent viewing and watched with one intention: find everything that works.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And funnily enough, it's only like a 10-minute video. So you can't have that much that works. Let's find out what he says. This could be fun.
There's a reason Animorphs instantly comes to mind when I think sci-fi kid shows from my childhood. So in this video, I'm accepting the atrocious green screen. I'm ignoring the comedically underwhelming fight scenes, and I'm overlooking the incessant plot conveniences. So we can just talk about the good stuff.
Right. 3 things there. Bad green screen, bad fight scenes, plot conveniences. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? The first 2 are definitely TV show criticisms. But one of the things I will say about the Animorphs book series is that one of its major flaws is the amount of plot conveniences. So from my perspective, it's not exclusive to the TV show. It is a franchise-wide issue, the plot conveniences. So I'm not taking that as specifically a TV show criticism, so it is not an extra finger. But that was 2 direct criticisms of the TV show, which is 2 fingers, Medipleb, eats a piece of fruit. Yeah, because it's healthy. And being healthy is a very positive thing indeed, yes. So that's your forfeit, to pick up a piece of fruit, place it to your face hole, and munch it like that. And drink an extra 4 fingers. Drink, everyone!
From Animorphs, the TV series.
And why it isn't all that bad.
Before we get-
Wait, episode 2? What do you mean episode 2? Was there more? Todd Foolery.
Y'all, this is...
By the way, go subscribe. Because these are obviously quite well produced. Right. It looks like he does loads of like Nickelodeon stuff. Alright, so this is what we're watching. What Animorphs TV series really that bad? A Nickelodeon retrospective. That's a Nickelodeon retrospective. So imagine it's not episode 2 of Animorphs, but of that a Nickelodeon retrospective series. So I don't think that is the second Animorphs episode, but Todd Foolery, do more. If you like the book series so much, I want more book video. Oh no! There is another Animorphs one. Why the Capture is the best Animorphs book adaptation, a Nickelodeon retrospective. So there is another Animorphs video on this channel, which is this one. So, I'm not going to watch this one. If you want to go watch it, you go watch it yourselves. Link in the description to Todd Foolery. Go! Go check it out. Fucking hell. Oterlu, if you don't check it out right now, within the next 5 seconds, I will be so peeved. Is that enough of the threat? I think it is. Right, we've watched the tragedy of Tobias. We're watching this one now.
Get started. Thank you so much for watching. I release new videos weekly and I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, so I need your help.
What's he on? 2.92 thousand. He wants to get to 10,000. I'm going to help him along that path. I hope you will too. Go subscribe to him if you like his content. Go check out his other content. If you like it, go subscribe to him.
Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, notification bell, all that to help support me and more videos like this. Now strap in and prepare yourselves for an information dump. If you don't remember Animorphs, it's about 5 teens given the power to morph into any animal they touch by a dying alien that crash lands on Earth. This alien is an Andalite, and his name is Elfangor. He gives the teens powers so they can protect the planet from a secret alien invasion by the Yeerks, a parasitic slug that burrows deep into your ear where it expands around your brain, turning you into a controller. Now, 2 quick caveats. The kids cannot stay in animal morph for longer than 2 hours or they will be trapped in said form, which actually does happen to one of them. Then on the opposite side, the Yeerks must exit their host bodies every 3 days to feed on nutrients from something called a Kendrona ray, while in something called a Yeerk pool. Keeping up, the characters are Jake, the fearless leader, Marco, the comedian with a sad backstory, Rachel, the blonde, not so damsel in distress, Cassie, the animal lover and Jake's love interest sometimes, and then Tobias, the misunderstood outsider turned forever hawk. Eventually, Elfangor's little brother, Eventually, Elfangor's little brother, Aximili Esgaruth Istal, or Axe for short, joins the group. Then quickly for reference, Visser 3 is the leader of Earth's Yeerk invasion, and Tom is Jake's older brother, but also a high-ranking controller. Got it? Great!
So there were 3 character traits there. Rachel's impulsiveness wasn't necessarily mentioned, nor was Tobias's emo side, nor was Axe's cluelessness, but the rest of them were basically there. That's 3 fingers. Who else is a regular comment? Thing is, a lot of these commenters comment on the other videos, like from the other series. So I'll try to pick out people that I know are watching. And I know that there are probably about 25 of you watching this video now that don't comment. And because of that, don't get the extra forfeits. Which is why poor old Medipleb, who I'm going to change the nickname of again. Sean, what should I call him now? I keep changing his nickname and I think it's becoming a bit of a running gag. So we'll change it. Mediplop. 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 Poor old you, because of these 25 or so sods that don't actually ever comment on these videos, but rather just watch them, you're getting another forfeit. Okay. Fucking keep crying. In fact, that's your forfeit, to just keep crying. So be it.
Now,
wait, hold on, what am I doing? 3 fingers, that's the one. Drink.
Preface, most of what I'm referring to happens between episodes 1 and 15. Episode 16 is one of the worst bottle episodes in television history and serves no purpose, and I will not let it get me off track. But also, it's where I feel the show starts going off the rails and really losing its identity.
Really? You thought 16 was one of the worst? It was pretty bad. But then again, I suppose the worst of the episodes did follow that one, so I suppose in a way you're right. Todd's Foolery. Yeah. Face Off is... I wonder if you'll mention Face Off, because that triple whammy is really the worst. Anyway, that was a TV show criticism, which now counts for 1 finger. There've probably been a couple I've missed, which Mediplop will catch me on, but whatever the fuck. It's Christmas. And I'm going to take this moment to just say, I hope you have a bloody Merry Christmas. I really do. Genuinely now. I hope all you Annie fans have the merriest bloody Christmas. And I think I'll do one more podcast reactions episode before the new year, because I know that there's a guy who did an Animorphs Christmas story, and I'll probably just sit back and relax and watch that with you. And then as the new year comes around, I won't be doing these anymore. I sort of will, but they'll all be live streamed. They'll all be live streamed, so we can drink in real time with each other, because I think that's a better way of doing it. I think that is the better way of doing it. But I'll have 2 screens after Christmas, and my audio's fixed, so it will be very easy to do. So I'm just waiting for that. And my fiance will be with me as well. She's coming back. She's coming back. And permanently too. And we're actually getting married. Me and my fiance will be getting married within 6 months. I'm going to be married. Fucking yes. Everybody drink 1 finger for that. Drink. And we're both Animorphs fans, so to a certain degree it'll probably be an Animorphs wedding. Awesome. Awesome. I love her to fucking bits. In fact, she hasn't called me for this recording so far. Oh, I'm so looking forward to her coming back. You've no idea. You've no idea. She was here for 6 months, and then she went back to America. And then the lockdowns happened, and I haven't seen her for 2 years. Fuck. I haven't seen her for 2 fucking years, but she's coming back, and she's coming back permanently. Thank fuck. Thank fuck. What was I doing? So, drunk TV show. Let's carry on.
But I promised you positivity, didn't I? First things first. Nickelodeon has always
Keenan and
been great
Kel.
at 2 things. First thing, I tip my hat to their diverse representation. I know they just mirror the ethnicities from the book, but there's something to be said about seeing people that look like you on your television screen, and that stands out immediately.
That, is that modern political issues? Because the whole push for diversity in television is very modern, and it has like a political footing to it. So yeah, that's modern political issue. Which is 2 fingers. Drink.
Second thing, Nick always does a great job building relationships between characters. When it wants to. Well, it seems like they give 2 shits about Cassie and Rachel's friendship, because every conversation consists of either yerks or boys.
Chasing John McCall!
It's obvious they care about Jake and Marco's, because not only do they explore their friendship deeper, they're given the most at stake in this alien war.
We could get killed.
Marco's relationship with his dad is probably the best in the entire series, and they...
Correct. Fucking correct. Todd Foolery, you know where it's fucking at. That is... I think I said that in my first run through of the series. For whatever reason, and I think it's because Boris Cabrera is such a good actor. Boris, if you ever watch this, I doubt you will, but if you ever do, you were a good actor. Don't let the Animorphs TV series like drag you down. You were good. I remember there was that bonus scene when it was just the camera Marco. Fuck, that was good. And you working with Peter, or I forgot what he's called in the TV bloody series, but it worked. It really worked.
They only share about 5 scenes. Quick side note, Marco's mother is presumed dead in the beginning, so it's just Marco and his father. But the way they show how Marco has almost become the parent until his father processes his grief is great. He has a lot to consider when putting himself in harm's way for this war that he didn't ask to be a part of. And then it gets more complex when his mother is revealed to be alive and under Visser 1's control. Visser 1 being the leader of the entire Yeerk army. So now he has the...
Is that strictly true, though? Because she was under the orders of the Council of 13, as we established. We don't really know. I'm not going to say it's something wrong. Because if you say, like in Britain, with the Royal Navy, the Navy, the Admiral of the Fleet, is technically the highest rank. But are they under the command of the I don't know, so I'm not going to count as something wrong. Carry on.
The fight, and I think that's a pretty advanced emotional arc for a kids show, especially in the 90s. It's the same thing with Jake and his brother. In fact, one of my favorite scenes of the entire series,
I bet he's going to say part of The Capture Part 2.
is the final scene
Yes!
of the two-part episode, The Capture.
That was, and that's the, I mentioned earlier, the second video is done on Animorphs, is about The Capture Part 2. These, without doubt, the best Animorphs TV series episode.
In this episode, Jake gets taken over by a Yeerk, so he experiences what it feels like to be alone in your mind while this toxic creature makes you watch as your loved ones think it's you interacting with them. Animorphs is really dark when you think about it. Anyway,
Yep.
At the end of the saga, Jake is freed, so he uses a voice modulator, 90s, calls his brother, and just reminds him to...
I mean, I know. Thing is with the 90s reference forfeit, when I mean 90s reference, I mean referencing something that was basically specifically to the 90s, not just saying the 90s. The 90s. So, no, I don't count it really.
never stop fighting. I legit weep every time I watch that scene. And
Then again, I will say that earlier on in this episode, he showed clips of like Keenan and Kel, which was a 90s show. So also, yeah, we'll have one forfeit for 90s reference, which is the end of my pint, which is the end of my John Smiths. So any more forfeits and I've got to dip into another drink. Thankfully, I don't have to dip into the rum because I've got Budweiser around, so we'll see how that goes. But 3 fingers and ooh, oh fuck, how do you spell? I think you can see it on the screen. There's a lot of weird symbols in your name. Forgive me for my ignorance, but I'm going to say it as I see it. Doug Newen. Duke Newen. If you are watching this, if it turns out you're watching this, you have to touch your nose with your tongue. That's your forfeit. The rest of us, 3 fingers. Drinky woo!
And just Marco and Jake in general, their friendship dynamic is probably the most believable, and I think it's because they put the most time and care into it. I know the internet says we don't like the 2006 Power Rangers reboot, but honestly, I kinda did. At its core, it's about 5 kids connecting, and it does really well with that. Imagine combining that sort of relationship building across every character, but with the Animorphs story? That would be fantastic. Next thing I immediately notice is its tone and style. While yes, it's much, much tamer, way less violent, and nowhere near as dark as the book series, for a kids show on Nickelodeon in the 90s, it is heavily styled in comparison to its peers. Most were game shows, sitcoms, dramas, the only sci-fi
That was another Keenan and Kel shot, but I've already drunk to that. Fuck it.
shows coming to mind being Alex Mack, Alan Strange, and I guess Are You Afraid of the Dark, which is also the closest we had to horror on Nickelodeon. Animorphs
I like the way Americans say horror. 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 It just sounds like you're saying whore.
appeared as this sci-fi teen drama with a somber tone that sprinkled in some horror and suspense.
Whore!
The town also just feels so bleak and sad. Like the future is uncertain, and there's this constant underlying terror that makes average day-to-day teen worries insignificant. Like no kidding, as soon as I heard this music come in,
My name is Jake.
Yes.
instantaneously transported and immersed back into that world. And even though the music eventually loses its flair and even the theme song gets covered up with Jake's narration,
Yeah.
The first half of the series did a great job with the score and then just establishing the tone of this fictional world. In addition, the show is also pretty damn scary through the lens of a 12-year-old. It isn't jump scary, but pulling more of its influences from Up Here, Are You Afraid of the Dark? One part of the horror is a little grotesque and just like slimy with like squirming sounds and gooey slugs and crunching bones. I mean, Visser 3 straight up devours our Fangor in the pilot episode. Sure, it's off screen, interpreted through their shadows and like the only time something like that happens, but it's still pretty dark. The other part of the horror is this perpetual state of paranoia. Like, anyone could be a Yeerk, no one can be trusted, and everyone's the enemy. And I remember feeling that watching as a kid too, and it came along with this sense of isolation. And while the quick jump cuts get very old very fast, early on,
That's Chris. I'm gonna have to get another drink, guys. I do apologise. Actually, no, fuck it, I don't apologise. Right, oh dear. Let's get another drink. Oh, funny. Yeah. Did I freak some of you out then? Fuck. Tiddly-doo. Oh, fuck. Look at the head on that. That's all heads. What the fuck was that forfeit again? Criticism, right. So that's one finger when I get to it. How have I got on this drunk? Then again, I've finished 4 John Smiths. No, I'm not doing that bollocks again. Sean, help me. What is wrong with Canadians? I mean, let's just be serious for a minute. What the fuck is wrong with Canadians? Walking around all fucking erdy-der. Wait, no, that's the Swedes. What the fuck is wrong with Canadians, Sean? Maple sucking, beaver kissing, rapscallions that they are. They're almost as bad as the Scottish. And the Bulgarians. Yeah, I am determined to offend everybody on this channel. If you're a living person, you'll find something to be offended by. I know I've already offended some people, but you know what? Fuck them. What is the world if you can't piss an idiot off, eh? What fun is the planet if you can't stare a complete twat in the eye and say, you're a fucking twat? And there are some out there, and you know who I'm talking about, if you're in the know. Right, this is ridiculous, head. What is... It's like a European pint, this. Right, Sean, do you want to get rid of the head for me? It's coming back slowly, Sean. Sean Santamore. By the way, I've got my Christmas tree up. It's just, you've probably seen like a corner of it. But tell you what, I'll do a little trick, you see, with my phone. So if I angle it just right, I think fucking softbox lighting is in the way, but you can just about make out there's a train set under the Christmas tree. What the fuck am I doing? Who am I? Where am I? Medipleb, 4 fingers. The rest of us, 1 finger, drink. Once I get through this fucking head.
really amplifies that paranoia and sneaking around. I actually really love what it does here.
I did it. I mean, it works.
No jump cuts, but the quick cuts with that music is... I didn't really like that scene.
I became home.
It was too many cuts.
Faculty Vibes, which is a movie with a near similar concept.
Wait, was that Frodo?
Movie with a
That's Frodo. I don't know what the actor's name is. That's Frodo from Lord of the Rings, isn't it?
near similar concept that came out November 12th that same year. Now picture an Animorphs today, rated R and dark and shot like a horror movie.
Shot like a horror movie.
Last thing that really stuck out was just taking in the incredibly massive scope of work their creative team was asked of. This was a very ambitious project to bring to live action, especially in the 90s, and then especially on Nickelodeon. To put that into perspective, this is the type of stuff that was airing on Nick at the time. I don't know why we expected Animorphs to be UP in quality. This show not only had a
I mean, that is a fair point. Let's all be honest. That is a fucking fair point.
The woes that come along with a standard teen drama, they also needed to build multiple elaborate alien set pieces and have costumes and other practical effects for said aliens. They also needed special effects done, and according to this Meet the Stars of Animorphs booklet I also had as a kid, it took 6 weeks to complete the morphing animation. 6 weeks! Times have changed!
Times have changed.
They had to work with lots of animals all the time. Every episode. And while that sounds cool, easy, and fun,
Working with the animals is pretty fun.
if there's anything I learned from film school, it's that I didn't need film school, but also, you don't want to work.
Didn't need film school. That's a good... I like that. That's fucking quality. This guy's awesome. If you haven't already, go fucking subscribe to this guy. Fucking deserves it.
Babies or animals. This show works with a literal zoo, professionally trained.
Is he going to mention anything about Michael Hackenberger? Because that's him right there. If you've watched this channel, if you know Michael Hackenberger.
Zoo. And I'm not talking just dogs and cats. They had lions and tigers, which means they also needed stunt people and stunt hawks. Seriously though, I love how they have Tobias as a hawk sitting off to the side squawking. And then in this scene, he's just in the background all agitated. At first I was like, that's some extreme commitment and detail. But then I started wondering, like, is that animal abuse?
The animals used in this production were in no way injured or mistreated in the course of shooting of the series. The persons invented the production. I like how he's got a little nope in the corner. He's got a little nope over here. Is he going to mention Michael Hackenberger? Let's listen in. If he does, then Oterlu, you drink 4 fingers. So your sobriety rests upon this.
Anyway, that's a lot to balance. And they did that for
You get away with it. Drink 4 fingers anyway.
us. Or at least they tried their best. Top that off with the fact that they were given a big budget idea without the budget to support it. And then you basically have a disaster that was doomed from the start.
Yep.
Is Animorphs a masterpiece?
No.
Absolutely not. But it isn't a steaming heap of doggy doo-doo either. A team of really talented people brought an ambitious concept to life the best way they could on a limited budget. And having been on the production side of things for a couple of years, I've experienced how much goes into bringing even the simplest of ideas to life. So I hope this positive peek back at Animorphs gave some credit to the work their creative team put in and allowed you to see the show in a different light. Or not. The show really does not hold up well.
Where have you been? One word. Sail, 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 sail.
But
Wait, what? Why does that not hold up well?
But
What does it say at the bottom? Sexism for the win. Hey? It doesn't hold up well because Marco mentioned a sail and that is sexism? Firstly, that's modern political issues. Secondly, no, because Rachel's character is that she's always at sales. So, Right, sorry for getting all fucking political myself, but this is something that really pisses me off about some people out there in the internetosphere. They just call everything something ism. Oh, this thing happened. Oh, that's fucking twatism. Or that happened and that's twitism. Fucking people need to fucking grow up. I mean, how... Sexism... Oh, Marco recognises one of Rachel's character traits. Sexism. How the fuck? I'm sorry, but no. Todd Foolery. Fucking hell. 2 fingers for modern political issues. Drink. Marco makes a joke about women liking sales, even though the character he's talking to in question is often quoted as looking at sales. Therefore, sexism. What the fuck? No. Todd Foolery. No. Let's just fucking just relax. Not everything is fucking sexist. Relax, okay? It's fucking fiction. Me.
But you do gotta hand it to them. Animorphs seems eerily similar to what this
What was the context of that, by the way?
does not hold up well. The show really does not hold up well.
Where have you been? One word. Sale, 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 sale.
This show does not hold up well because sexism. I don't know what to say. Todd Foolery, you've done a great video here. Don't ruin it with fucking identity politics bollocks. Don't. Just fucking don't. Just stop. Just stop. It's one of those things that just drives me mad about modern day internet. It's just these people that will grab onto fucking anything to make it about identity politics, even when it fucking isn't. Okay? It just winds me up. Just stop it.
But you do gotta hand it to them. Animorphs seems eerily similar to what the CW evolved into. And I'm not saying it's a direct influence, but you can't tell me you can't picture them Arrowversing this. Perhaps they paved the way and got a lot of it wrong, so every campy superhero supernatural CW show could get it right. Take from that what you will, and here's to a better reboot.
Movie talk. That's 2 fingers. Drinky woodle.
Alright, thanks so much for watching, everyone. And if you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate your support. I do have to admit, I too was disappointed by the TV adaptation, but it definitely resonated with me more than it did with most. And I don't know if it was just the fact that I was very sheltered growing up and just had lower expectations, but it wasn't that bad to me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed visiting
Had its
the
moments.
side of
It had its
Animorphs
moments.
as much as I did. Let me know your favorite part of the show in the comments below, or let me know your least favorite part if you hate it.
All right. I'm going to do that. Best part. Catch it. Part 2. Worst part. The whole Face Off trilogy.
There are a couple
Done.
episodes I would love to go back and do a deep dive for, so if that does interest you, comment that below as well. I've got another Animorphs video coming, a video on season 1 of Alex Mack, and then another one on Cousin Skeeter, so keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, why not just stick around, click some buttons, and watch a couple more of my videos here? Don't forget to hit that.
If you're interested in doing that, his link will be in the description below. Fantastic video, and I'm surprised Todd Foolery doesn't have more subscribers. He's got almost 3,000. He says he's looking for 10,000. So if you're that way inclined, please go help him out. I've subscribed, I've left a like. I just wish he wouldn't bring the identity politics bollocks into it, but apart from that, fantastic video. Really, really good. And he's done another Animorphs video. Go check that out. And I've got another finger to drink. So, are you going to have yourselves a merry little Christmas? I'm hoping that in the near future, my fiancée is arriving on the 24th, Christmas Eve. It's going to be the best Christmas present ever. We're going to get married, and I'm hoping there's going to be some Animorphs related stuff at the wedding. I really do hope, because we're both Animorphs fans. We both run the Animorphs Discord. Well, I do, but she's sort of in control of me, so she technically controls it. I fucking love Animorphs, absolutely fucking do. If it wasn't for Animorphs, I wouldn't have met the love of my life. Fuck me. That's it speaks a lot to me. And to that, I drink this last finger. And I hope you do too. As of the new year... Well, let's drink that first. Into the new year, there won't be these pre-recorded drinking games. The drinking games will be either with Raptor or they'll be live streamed. So look forward to that. It should be bloody good fun. And I've enjoyed today. Sean has enjoyed today. And yeah, check out those two channels that I've watched today. They've both done some really good work. So go show your support to them. And I shall see you next time. So, ta-ra.